Welcome back to another Senior Learning Institute's educational moment, where older adults and their loved ones turn for honest and straightforward information. In just a few minutes, you'll enjoy bite-sized, easily digestible nuggets of knowledge, empowering you to make the right decision the first time. So without further ado, here's our founder, certified senior advisor, seniors real estate specialist, nationally syndicated podcaster and speaker, the advocate you can trust, Mr. Ted Gottlieb.
There are just some things you don't want to do on your own. One of them is making Medicare decisions. There are just too many options and the mistakes are long lasting. In my opinion, the best way to be successful is to work with an experienced licensed Medicare insurance specialist. Their services are effectively free to you and their advice is priceless. One of the top-notch Medicare insurance specialists that I refer to is Randy Schrupp. Over the next 3 to 4 podcasts that we're going to do, Randy is going to break down Medicare into bite-sized pieces. This short podcast will give you a bird's eye view of Medicare in general, just to whet your appetite to come back for more. We know that Medicare started in 1965 and is managed by the Social Security Administration. Randy, what's the purpose? What was the whole design, the concept behind Medicare in general?
Medicare came about in 1965, but it was originally envisioned in 1937 when Social Security passed by Franklin Roosevelt. It was supposed to be if you gave people a retirement income and health insurance, they could retire without falling into poverty. That was the idea.
Yeah, and way back then, I think the average lifespan was age 48, right?
Probably a little bit more, but not much more. When they designed Medicare, they expected most people to live 3 to 4 more years.
Right. So we're living longer. We put a strain on that. There's no question about it. So, but today, when we think of Medicare, we think of people that are age 65 and over. Is it just people that are 65 and older, or is it open to other individuals?
It's also open to people who have Social Security disability. Once they get the disability assignment, people who are injured and can no longer work, once they get the disability assignment, 24 months after they're assigned disability, they also become eligible for Medicare automatically. So it's people of retirement age and or disabled persons.
Oh, wow. So do I have to start taking Medicare when I turn 65?
No, you don't. If you have other insurance and are currently continue to work past 65, like I have, you can stay with an employer health plan. There are no penalties for late enrollment in Medicare as long as you have what is called other creditable coverage, OCC. And that means you have coverage through some other vehicle that's at least as good as Medicare's.
Wow. So it sounds like it's a little complicated, but you can help us through that process.
Been doing it since 2007 and got about 1,000 clients these days. So I've been around the block once or twice. It ain't my first rodeo.
Right. So from what I understand is, though, that if we don't do it right the first time, there could be long-term implications. So it's really important to get with someone like you.
It can be, okay. One of the keys, and I always try to stress to people, is every year you have an option to fix whatever you didn't do right. There are a few instances where it can have some long-term implications, but we have this thing called annual enrollment. So every year between October 15th and December 7th, people can change their Medicare plan. So yes, it's good to get a good solid start, but you always have the option to change your plans as you go forward.
Right. Well, isn't there something, though, that if for some reason I don't take it when I'm supposed to take it, there can be some additional
well, that's the penalties if you don't have other creditable coverage. Okay, and that penalty can be 10% on your Part B premium, which you pay to the federal government. There's another penalty that's not usually very costly, but if you don't enroll in prescription drug coverage automatically. So yeah, the key is when you turn 65, you are enrolled automatically in Medicare Part A because you pay tax for that all your working life. The key then becomes getting enrolled in Part B.
Got it. All right. So I mean, this conversation just in general tells me why it's so ill advised not to talk to someone like you. And also probably couple, 3 months before our 65th birthday, just to make sure we have the conversation.
That is correct. I usually encourage people 3 months, 3 or 4 months prior to their birthday, because you've got to deal with the government to get some of the stuff done. And sometimes that can be a little time consuming. And then, once all that stuff's in place, then I can work with clients and help them enroll in the type of plan they want, literally within days of their effective date. So the key is, yes, you got to start early to get the government situation squared away, and then you can move fairly quickly.
Great. So in general, and since we're taking this bird's eye view of things, we're really going to be really, really general here. There are two types of Medicare options that we most think of, and that's traditional Medicare and Medicare Advantage. So Randy, let's look at Medicare or traditional Medicare. What's the upside to traditional Medicare plans?
Traditional Medicare plans are usually done in conjunction with a Medicare supplement and then sometimes a drug plan. The upside to doing traditional Medicare is you don't have networks. You don't have some doctors that you're allowed to see and some that you aren't. It's also portable. Anywhere in the United States, you can use Medicare Part A and B with any provider who accepts Medicare, and that's still about 97-98% of all medical providers in the country.
Right.
No networks, portable. Those are some of the good things about using traditional Medicare.
Great. So when most folks describe traditional Medicare, they talk about it having three parts. And without getting too detailed on it, because we'll get into that with other podcasts that we're going to do, there's parts A, B, and D, which I'd love for you to address today. So can you touch on those parts A, B, and D for us?
Sure. Part A in the law, and when we say part, we're talking about which part of the law, which came out at 3 different times, 4 different parts. Part A was for hospital coverage. So it will cover basically everything that happens and you're treated for in the hospital once you've paid a Part A deductible, and that's usually about $1,300 or $1,400. All right, that deductible applies to hospitalization for different conditions. So it could apply 2 or 3 times. But once you've paid that deductible, it'll cover basically everything that's done with you and for you in the hospital.
Great. And that, in addition to the hospital, it's anything skilled, right? So nursing home and also skilled care in the house?
That is also correct. Nursing homes and skilled nursing comes under Part A.
And hospice as well, right?
Correct. Hospice is usually done separately through Medicare.
Got it. So then that's Part A. What about Part B?
Part B is for most outpatient services. So if you just want to have a doctor visit, or you have to go in for an MRI, or an outpatient surgery like a cataract surgery or something like that, that's what Part B. Part B also contains cost-sharing mechanisms. They're usually called usually co-insurance or co-pays. So when I had a DVT, a blood clot in my leg, I had to go and get an ultrasound. It was done outpatient, so it was covered under Medicare Part B.
So things like doctor's visits, MRIs, chemo, vaccinations, colonoscopies, all those things fall under B.
That is correct.
Right. And B is also optional, meaning A, we paid for that already. B is optional, and there's a monthly premium, and that's a standard premium, right?
That is also correct. You get A automatically when you turn 65, and unless you're on Social Security already, you have to enroll in Part B and pay a premium for that. That premium it's means tested. If you make a lot of money, you could pay more than the base amount, but the base amount is currently $144.50 monthly. Usually they'll withhold that from your Social Security check.
Got it. All right. So we've covered Part A and Part B. What is Part D?
Part D, A and B, the laws were written in 1965. Part D is prescription drug coverage, and that didn't come along. The law was written in 2003, but it became effective in 2006. So for the first time in 2006, prescription drugs were covered drugs that you purchase and take home. And it developed a whole system that was designed to try to help people who were, really in need manage the cost of their prescriptions.
Got it. And I know that with Part D, one plan does not fit all, and we'll dig deeper into that in another podcast. So let me ask you
Correct.
this, Randy. If I have hospital, medical, and drug coverage, that's parts A, B, and D, do I need anything else?
You can run that way, but because there's no limit on the cost sharing, the amounts that you pay under Part A and Part B, many people prefer to buy some sort of coverage that is, in essence, an umbrella over Part A and B, and that is referred to as a Medicare supplement plan or a Medigap plan.
Got it. Okay, so that's insurance to cover what the other part of the insurance doesn't cover.
That is exactly it.
Okay, boy, it's getting complicated. All right, so that's traditional Medicare, A, B, and D, and then we talked about Medigap just briefly. There's an alternative to traditional Medicare plans, and that's called Medicare Advantage. That's all the mail that you'll start to see as you approach age 65. It seems to be everywhere. Randy, what are Medicare Advantage plans, and how do they compare to traditional plans?
Well, in 1985, the insurance companies that had written Medicare supplement plans for 20 years basically lobbied Congress and said, we think we could play a bigger role that would be helpful to Medicare beneficiaries. And they convinced Congress to write Part C of the legislation, which created something called a Medicare Advantage Plan. And what that really is it's a subcontract agreement between the insurance company and Medicare, which is referred to as CMS, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. And once an insurance company is certified to operate in that format, they become the single payer for all of the benefits that the beneficiary is due under Part A and Part B, but they're also allowed to throw in drug plans and other benefits that are not included under original Medicare or under a supplement.
So these are private insurance plans offered by, I assume, for-profit organizations.
That's correct. They are subsidized when you enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan. The Medicare system, CMS, will pay a subsidy to that insurance company so that they're funded to be able to take care of you. All right. Because of that subsidy, the premiums on these Medicare Advantage plans tend to be substantially lower, because if you stay in original Medicare and buy a drug plan and buy a supplement, they hold on to the money. But if you enroll in an Advantage plan, that subsidy will be paid to that insurance company, and that allows them to charge you less on the front end for your coverage.
Got it. So when you hear the advertisements and read some of the documents, it sounds really, really attractive. And I know a lot of people go with them, and I think some people are very pleased with them, and others might have different opinions. So what are the disadvantages, if any, that might be associated with these Medicare Advantage plans?
The disadvantages can be most of them have networks. If you go with an HMO Advantage plan, you have to only use the providers, the hospitals and doctors and facilities that are in the network. If you go out of network, okay, you don't have coverage. Those networks are usually specific to an immediate geographic area, okay? Other than that, like I say, you have to make co-pays and pay co-insurance and deductibles as you go, but all Medicare Advantage plans have what we call a MOOP, a maximum out-of-pocket. So it becomes kind of a sliding scale of what your personal expenses can be depending on how much care you receive.
So theoretically, you can end up spending a bunch more going that way. If you have a serious health issue, you might end up spending more out of pocket than you would with a traditional plan. That's the risk.
Yeah, the risk is limited by this maximum out of pocket, okay, but it's feasible. It depends on what the maximum out of pocket is on the plan that you choose. Many of them the max out of pocket is less than you would pay if you bought a Cadillac Medicare supplement plan. So that's when you got to sit down and kind of look at the two, look at your finances, look at your medical condition. And if you anticipate a lot of medical treatment on a regular basis, that may make a supplement the right thing for you. If you don't, like me, I'm blessed with good health and I don't use a lot of services. So the Advantage plans have worked very well for me.
Right. So if someone travels a lot, for instance, or let's say I'm a snowbird and I'm living 6 months in one place and 6 months in another place, would a Medicare Advantage plan work for me?
It could, depending on where you go. Okay, a Medicare supplement is completely portable. So if you're living in St. Louis for 6 months of the year, and then you go down to Florida or Arizona for 6 months of the year, if you're in a Medicare supplement, you can use a whole different set of doctors in your other location, and there's no issues. It's completely portable. There's some portability built into the Advantage plans too, but it's not quite as free and open as using a supplement.
Great. So what happens if I want to change my plan? What are my options?
Every year during annual enrollment, October 15th to December 7th, you have the option to change your plan. You can change from a supplement and a drug plan to an Advantage plan. You can change from one Advantage plan to another Advantage plan. And you can move back and forth each year, which a lot of people do. Okay. There are some limitations if you go from an Advantage plan, try to go to a supplement once you've been enrolled for a period of time. All right. That's something that we can discuss probably another time, but there's a potential that you might be subjected to underwriting if you're in an Advantage plan and want to go back to a supplement.
Right. Okay. And we should dig into that when we talk about Medicare Advantage plans a little bit in greater detail. I want to talk about annual reviews because I know that you got open enrollment that comes up every year, but why are annual plan reviews such an important part of the process?
It's kind of become a tradition. There's a lot of people who just feel like they need to shop every year to compare the plans to each other. Other people, if I do my job well, okay, we get them into a plan that really fits them well. I've got a number of my clients that stay with the same plan for 10 years. It really kind of boils down to the personal feelings of the member or the beneficiary that I'm working with. They want to review plans every year. I will do that, and others, as long as they're happy, kind of ride it out. One thing is, if you don't do anything from year to year, you will automatically be renewed into the plan that you're already in. So you don't have to worry. It won't suddenly disappear. You'll automatically get renewed unless you choose to make some changes.
Right. So I guess the only thing that I can think of right now as to why you might want to change plans, because I think the rates are the rates with traditional with Medicare insurance, right?
Generally, yes.
Okay. So the only reason to consider changing is maybe the formularies, the prescriptions that you take on an annual basis?
Or your medical condition. I mean, I got people who, go along for 5 or 10 years and they're in great health. They only go in and have their annual physical and maybe 1 or 2 other doctor visits a year. And then all of a sudden, boom, along comes a chronic medical condition that's going to require a lot more treatment. That could be a legitimate reason to really consider changing your plan to make sure that, the one you have fits your new medical condition, your medical situation.
Got it. All right. Well, that's awesome. Great information. I think that wet our whistle to dig a little deeper on some other podcasts that we're going to do. If someone wants to get in touch with you, Randy Schrupp, what's the best way for them to go ahead and do that?
They can either call me on my at 314-496-0140 or my I have a website, Schrupp Senior Services. They can contact me through that. And also my email address is randy_schrupp@msn.com.
Got it. Now, are you licensed just in one state, or can you license nationwide? How does that work in regard to your ability to service folks nationwide?
I have chosen not to licensed. I'm licensed in Missouri. I'm not even licensed in Illinois. I decided I wanted to stay focused in a particular area, and I've had, all the business I need just to, now I have clients all over the state of Missouri, but I had a call yesterday, a friend in Kansas City, they told their friend in Kansas City about me, and they called me. Well, I have a friend in Kansas City who does this as well. I think they're better served by having a local agent. And I don't know all the plans in Kansas City as well as my friend Lou does. So I try to stay focused on staying fairly close to home and working with the clients that I have and not getting too far afield.
No, I do the same thing with my business. I mean, I refer nationwide, but I prefer to stay close to home as well. And that's, with the real estate business that I do. So thank you very much for your time, Randy. I appreciate it. I want to thank everybody for listening to this Senior Learning Institute educational moment. At the Institute, we strive to provide straightforward and unbiased information, the information you need to make smart decisions the first time. And it's all about us connecting you to the resources that you need, whether it be for Medicare, long-term care insurance, in-home care services, real estate, care management, estate planning, financial planning, you name it. We know folks both locally as well as nationwide that we can connect you to. And these are vetted individuals who can provide the services that you are looking for. Just let us know. We'll be happy to help. And there's no cost or obligation to do that. To learn more about the Senior Learning Institute, check us out at seniorlearninginstitute.com. Until next time, my name is Ted Gottlieb. I am a certified senior advisor. I'm a seniors real estate specialist in the state of Missouri, servicing folks nationwide, and I'm also the founder of the Senior Learning Institute. Just give us a call, send us an email, go to our website, anything we can do, just let us know. Until next time, talk to you later.